And that is naming a replacement. President Trump interviewing 4 prospective Supreme Court justices yesterday to take Anthony Kennedy's spot on the high court, with more meetings in the works over the next week. Though the White House is not revealing who the president met with, Fox News sources say they were the following: Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Raymond Kethledge, and Amul Thapar. Those 4 had the meetings yesterday with the president. The president is planning to move forward with his pick quickly. Here's what he told me about the timeline from the White House yesterday and that exclusive interview with me on Friday.
Very interesting, though, was my 4 meetings. I'll be meeting with 2 or 3 more, and we'll make a decision on the United States Supreme Court, the new justice. That'll be made over the next few days, and we'll be announcing it on Monday.
And do you think you'll be able to get your nominee in place before the midterm elections?
I think it's going to go very quickly. I think we're going to have a lot of support. I think we're going to have support from Democrats. Frankly, I think if it's the right person, I'm going to pick the right person. I'm going to pick somebody that's outstanding.
Joining us right now, former Whitewater independent counsel and former federal prosecutor Robert Ray. Robert, good to see you. Thank you so much for weighing in here. Your take on some of the contenders that the president met with yesterday in this list of 25 people.
Well, among the people that apparently he has met with and that he will meet with, I know 2 of them. Brett Kavanaugh I served with in Ken Starr's office, and I know Bill Pryor from the 11th Circuit. So I don't know them all. I know that they're on the list. It appears as if the president is going to interview from that list. And, you know, the Democrats are powerless to prevent that. Some of the moderate Republicans, of course, I think want him to expand from that list, like Sue Collins has mentioned that. Elections have consequence. He ran on that list and was elected president, so I think he intends to adhere to what he promised.
Tell us about Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, he served with him.
Yeah.
Fran, he's on the D.C. Circuit. I mean, he's an outstanding candidate. They all are. You know, this is a pretty carefully constructed list, and it is obviously one that is tilted in favor of those who have vetted it, which would be the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation. But they're all outstanding candidates. I mean, I think one of the positives for Brett Kavanaugh, of course, is that it appears as if the president's intention may well be to satisfy Justice Kennedy. And, of course, Brett Kavanaugh has a Justice Kennedy connection. He clerked for him. So, you know, I don't know that that's a hard and fast rule, but I think that's appealing to the president.
What's your take in terms of Democratic support? Neil Gorsuch got 3 Democratic votes, and they needed it. But, you know, it's anybody's guess if you're going to get, obviously, Senator McCain is questionable. Then you've got Senator Corker, Senator Flake. We don't know if they're going to go with the president, so he may very well need Democratic support for the votes. Dagan, what do you think?
And it's tough. It probably.
And I think you'll probably get some.
You do?
I do. Yeah, I think, you know, look, there are Democrats who are in swing states or states that voted for Trump, where it is a real problem, particularly in the South, to buck a president's choice to the Supreme Court, particularly if the basis that the Democratic Party is using in order to defeat that choice are rulings on, or potential rulings on, social issues. So, you know, elections also have consequence, of course, for senators casting votes about whether to confirm a nominee. And so I do expect that, you know, I don't know that you'll necessarily get a straight party line vote. I think there's going to be some back and forth. And so, you know, it's not entirely clear yet until we see hearings and so forth, and there's an evaluation. But it would not surprise me if you had Democrats supporting the nomination and some Republicans drifting the other way.
You've got to look at, you can look at each individual person that President Trump has interviewed so far, but Amy Barrett, just to name one, when she was appointed to the Federal Appeals Court, she got all Republican, full Republican support, and there were 3 Democrats who voted for her: Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Tim Kaine of Virginia, and Joe Manchin of West Virginia. So again, in terms of Joe Manchin, if you look at he being up for re-election in West Virginia this year, that it could come to bear Trump state.
Yeah, no, Dagan, I think that's a good test case, and I think, that would, to me, that would be predictive of what's likely to happen here. I don't think you're going to see a straight party line vote.
Aren't the Democrats going to be under intense pressure from the party and from the kind of national the national forces to oppose anybody that the
Well,
president...
They were
that's
on
true.
Gorsuch as well, though, right?
Right.
They were on Gorsuch as well.
And there's a huge
But
threat.
the stakes are higher in this case.
The stakes are definitely higher. It's a huge threat that has been issued by the Democratic Party. If you travel off the reservation on this one, don't expect you'll receive any support from the party, and the next likely thing that will happen to you is that you'll get primaried.
Well, and it's just really quickly, it is different from the Gorsuch nomination in the sense that he was replacing Antonin Scalia, who was a traditionalist, a constitutionalist, and very conservative. This is replacing an important swing vote. So that's part of the equation, part of the resistance from the Democrats on that.
I suppose so, but on the other hand, of course, it's not replacing a liberal justice, A, and B, I think the president still goes back to, look, this is what I ran on. This was my list. Elections have consequence. It was certainly anticipated that there would be one or more vacancies on the Supreme Court during my term. This is, what do you expect me to do? I am only doing what it is I promised I would do.
That's his argument, but the question is whether or not Democrats will go along with
No,
that.
the Dems are not.
They're not going to go along with it, but the fact of the matter is there's no refuting that logic.
Yeah.
That's everybody understands what that means. I'm only doing what it is I promised I said I was going to do.
And this is why I was voted in. Let me switch gears.
Right.
House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes. He's now calling for 10 government officials who worked at the State Department or the White House during the Obama administration to testify in the investigation into potential surveillance abuse during the 2016 election. One of them, a former State Department official, acknowledging that he had regular contact with Christopher Steele, the former British spy who wrote the controversial anti-Trump dossier. What do you think this tells you?
I think it's sort of the logical next step as the result of the previous hearing testimony involving the current FBI Director Christopher Wray and the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. It was apparent from the hearing that neither one of them were there when any of this happened. So if they want firsthand testimony from people who were there when the investigation originated, they're going to have to get it from witnesses who were present when things happened. I think that was to be expected.
What do you think about Rod Rosenstein? Do you think he, being a witness in terms of, okaying the FISA warrant and telling the president to fire Jim Comey, should he be recusing himself in all of this? I
don't think so. I think it's the fashion and flavor of our times to say at the first sign of trouble,
recuse.
Step aside and recuse. Recusal was intended to be a last resort. Now, we got a little bit off the track here with Jeff Sessions. His situation was unusual in the sense that it happened when he first came on board, where it would be more likely that you would recuse than later on once you had sort of gathered steam and been in the position for a while. I understand that ethics people always, want to, and their job is to spot conflicts. But again, even in light of conflicts, most conflicts can be managed if, in the event that something were to happen, where his testimony becomes crucial in one fashion or another. But the notion that the Deputy Attorney General automatically should step aside because he had some involvement in connection with the process seems to me to be overstated. That's my view.
All right, Robert, it's great to have you. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Robert Ray joining us there.